I would say the majority of us that hit age 40 will all experience something in common. Our joints will start to hurt. Your vision might seem to require reading glasses. There are certain phases that your body will go through. You might move up a size or two in your jeans. You might be putting on a little weight. And by age 50, which seems to be here in no time, well, you are up 3 to 4 waist sizes and you've put on a significant amount of weight. And this holds true for a good majority of Americans today. Now, when we're younger, we're more carefree. We can pretty much eat what we want. We're working. We're full of energy. We're burning that up. But as we age, our metabolism slows down. And it is harder, much harder, to keep that weight off. Now, I wanted to put together a video explaining why it is very important if you are considering losing weight. You know, your good friend Herkimer, he got on that newfangled carnivore lifestyle. He's dropped a whole bunch of weight. He feels great, he says. He looks great. His skin color is good, and he just feels good all the time. And you want to be like Herkimer. And you decide, well, I am going to do this carnivore. But I ain't giving up drinking. Nope. I'm still going to drink, but I'm going to do it, and I'm still going to drink. It doesn't work that way. So I want to tell you, kind of explain to you why you cannot drink alcohol and expect to have carnivore give you the results that your friend Herkimer had. But I am going to break it down in my own way, you know, the way I do things on my channel, the way I tell stories, so that you understand, because we're not all doctors. I'm not going to, you get on YouTube and you try to research some of this and you get some egghead using all these big words that we don't understand because, well, we didn't go to medical school, did we? No, we didn't. So I said, I was up probably 2 this morning, just sitting there, trying to put this video together of how I'm going to tell you how this works. So here we go. I want you to think of your body as a work site. And inside your body, you have a crew. You have a crew of little dudes, okay? They're in charge of the maintenance inside your body. You know, the part that you can't see, that you got to have an x-ray or an MRI to see up in there. Yep. And them little dudes are in there. They're small. You can't see them with your naked eye, but they're in there. And there's probably, let's just say there's 50 of them. Okay? They are totally in charge of your body and keeping your body fit. Now, there are some people, let me just explain it to you this way. If you ordered 100 new cars, okay, say there is a car factory and their order for the day is 100 sedans, all the same color, identical, okay, the same make, the same model. They have to make 100 of them that day. Well, going down the assembly line, they are going to put all these cars together exactly the same. And maybe 10%, probably less than that, are going to be lemons, which means there is something that was done wrong or a defective part or something wrong where that vehicle's just not ever going to function like the others. Now, out of that percentage that does function right, if you were to drive all of them at the same time down an endless road, you would experience different problems with each one during its driving lifetime. In other words, one might blow a water pump, where the other one has a fuel problem. Nothing will usually happen at the same time for these vehicles that are supposedly in good working order. The longer they drive, the more they get worn out, and these parts wear out. And there's no order to which part will wear out first. So if you think of humans like that, some of us are born with defective parts. And some of us, our parts are going to wear out different. So you get surgeries, you have different things done in your body. At 19, I had a spleen rupture, so I don't have a spleen. I had a hernia operation. I had a broken jaw. Several things happen. You could, like the car, it could have an accident, change the whole course of its lifetime. So you have to think of your body as a machine, and you have a work crew. It's in there. You can name them little dudes if you want, but I ain't got time to name them for you in this video. So I'm going to tell you how the body works. And how come you are not going to lose weight and continue to drink alcohol? You can't do it. You might be able to do it, but you're going to be suffering in other ways if you are losing weight. So you have a work crew down there. Their main focus is to keep your liver functioning, keep it clean, to keep your kidneys nice and clean, get your arteries clean, and take care of your brain. When you drink alcohol, you are essentially killing brain cells every time you take a drink. You have, I think I read, over 43 billion brain cells, and there are 3,000 different types of brain cells in your brain. You have different sections of your brain that perform different tasks. And when you drink alcohol, you are depleting your brain of oxygen, which gives you the intoxication feeling. You're feeling tipsy. You keep drinking. The more you drink, the worse that effect gets. You lose reasoning. Okay? We know anybody that's drank knows how you lose your reasoning. Something you would never do sober, all of a sudden, they call it liquid courage, you're going to do when you're drinking. Something you might say to somebody you would never say to somebody sober, you'll say it to them when you're drinking. You might promise something you're never going to deliver on. The more you drink, you reach a stage where your body is sending a whole bunch of this crew. Okay, you got 50 dudes in there. It might dispatch 20 of them up there to your brain, because what they're going to have to do is clean up all them dead cells. They got to get them carcasses out of there. They can't be up in there clogging you up. And then they might have to dispatch a few more to come on up and help generate new ones, which is a process that takes time. So when you wake up the next day, you have a headache. Well, yes, you do, because they're in there, they're digging, they got their shovels and they're digging out all them dead cells. They're getting them out of there. They're making all kinds of noise. They're tired. They're working overtime, but they can't stop because that's their career. Body maintenance. Yeah, that's what they went to school for. So you got a headache. That's called a hangover. Your brain's still depleted on oxygen. It's trying to recover. They're in there. They're working on it. Okay? Don't get up and open another one. You're just going to make them madder, and I don't want to even go there. Why are you doing this to yourself? Meanwhile, the 20 or 30 that are still below, in the lower deck, their jobs are to keep your kidneys are working overtime right now, because, especially if you're drinking beer, your kidneys are working overtime. You're peeing every 5 minutes. Your liver has been working overtime. Your body can only process an ounce of alcohol per hour. So, but you've been slamming them down, okay? Have you ever went in and ordered and did a bunch of shots at once? And bam, just before you know it, you're drunk. How did this happen? Well, your body can only process the alcohol so fast. And when you're putting it down your yak, faster than your body can process it, then you get drunk. And that's when all these things happen. You can't walk straight. You lose your equilibrium, you lose your reasoning. All these things happen. So it's Monday morning. Okay, you're not drinking anymore until Friday. By Sunday evening, you're starting to feel better, but Monday you're still not 100%. It's still working to get your body restored. By midweek, you start to feel even better. Hey, that crew has been they're working overtime. Okay, if you drink, your work crew works double time, and they're not getting time and a half pay. So what you need to do now is not drink. But here comes Friday, you start drinking again. Now, how this comes into play with carnivore. When you are consuming alcohol, your work crew is busy dealing with the alcohol. It is busy fighting that, processing this alcohol to get it out of your body. It has no time to fight the carbs, the fatty liver buildup that you have. It doesn't have time to deal with that. It tends to shift to life-saving measures, which is your brain. Without your brain, you don't live. So it needs to make sure your brain is taken care of and the maintenance is done. A place where normally they would only have to check on once in a while if you weren't drinking. Okay, it would function just fine. Yes, cells are going to die every day naturally, but they have a permanent crew up there, maybe 2 or 3 of them dudes, okay? And they do their job, but when they get overwhelmed, they got to call for backup. And so they do not have time to fight these carbs and this sugar that you're also putting in your body. Well, wait a minute, I cut off carbs and sugar when I went carnivore. No, you didn't, not if you're drinking alcohol. Alcohol is carbs and sugar. Doesn't matter which kind. But it's not so much what that part of it you're putting in your body. It's that you're keeping that crew busy. And it doesn't have time to fight to burn your carbs and burn the sugar, to where then it can start burning the fat. Because that's how carnivore works. When you starve your body of carbs and sugar, well, it has no choice but to burn the fat for energy. Them little dudes need energy down there. They got to burn that fat. But they're not going to burn the fat first. They're burning the carbs and the sugar first. So if you're constantly drinking, even if you're just drinking a couple times a week on the weekends, it takes a few days to get that out of your system. It takes more than that, actually. But they are working, trying to remove that and not paying attention to the fat burning. So you cannot lose any weight. I know this for a fact because a couple of years ago, I made a whole series of videos where I decide I'm going to lose weight. I get on the scale, I'm 300 pounds, and I start walking around my property multiple laps a day and filming it and putting good fancy music to it, and people would like it and watch it and get inspired. But I wasn't losing any weight because I wasn't changing what I ate. I was still coming in that night and eating spaghetti and bread and drinking a bunch of milk. I wasn't changing what I ate, but more importantly, I didn't quit drinking. So I could walk around that 5,000 times. My body is still busy dealing with the alcohol and not dealing with the fat. It's not going to burn the fat. Yes, I lost a few pounds, mostly from the exercise, but I was never going to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And I realized this maybe about 2 months in, and I quit. And that is why a lot of people give up on diets and any kind of weight loss they are attempting because they don't see any results. But you got to look at what you're doing or what you're not doing right. So putting alcohol in your body, it's just keeping that work crew too busy to deal with the weight loss. You have to burn fat in order to lose weight. If your liver is covered in fat, if you have fatty liver, that is unhealthy. But here's the good thing. If you stop drinking alcohol, okay, this is what I've noticed, and believe me, I am not a doctor. I haven't researched any of this medically. I just kind of know this. It's just something, I don't know where it comes from, but I just kind of know this. Somebody's probably going to tear me to shreds, and a doctor, oh, you don't know that. And here's what I think happened with me. Okay, this is just my theory, but it's like I know it. I drank probably pretty steady from the age of 16 all the way till age 57, and I did it almost every single weekend. Okay, every single weekend, and I drank to excess. So I'm killing all these brain cells, and the body can't keep, the work crew can't keep up to rebuild them to where they should be, where a man of my age should have for brain cells. And I started killing these brain cells young. So when I quit drinking, it starts replenishing the brain cells. It's getting everything healthy. But now that I'm on carnivore, I am losing fat. And the work crew inside is getting my body to the point where they're not working as hard. They don't have to struggle with the sugar. They don't have to struggle getting rid of the carbs. They're only, and the alcohol, because I've quit that. They're only dealing with getting rid of the carbs, the excess seed oils and vegetable oils that were in my body that take usually a year to a year and a half to remove from your body after you quit taking them. That's right. Those McDonald's French fries you ate, those oils will be in your body for a year and a half on your liver. Think about that one. And after about a year, maybe 9 months to a year, I start noticing, man, I'm getting sharper. My brain, I'm remembering passwords. I'm remembering PIN numbers. I'm not having to turn around every time I leave the house and come back because I forgot my wallet. I'm not forgetting things like I did. I'm thinking of old memories that I haven't thought of in years. My brain is just much sharper. And I think that's why that is because now I am replenishing all these brain cells that I've killed. And those brain cells need something to do, so it's replacing it in the areas where my memory was, where my cognitive skills are, which is making me sharper. I'm not fumbling as much on things. I can do these videos now. I can without a script because I couldn't do those before. Even though I do fumble now and then, okay? That's just me. Sometimes I do that on purpose. That's what I'm sticking to that story. Now the difference, you might argue, well, when you're a child, say 11, 12 years old, you've got all your brain cells. Why aren't you the smartest, book on the shelf then? Well, you're still maturing, and you are more distracted as a child. You're chasing, you're chasing girls, and you got all this changes going on in your body physically. So your brain is busy with all that. It doesn't have time to mature, so you're not feeling any sharper than normal. And then when you start killing the brain cells later on, it's like your brain is stuck at that age. You don't mature, your brain doesn't mature and have good reasoning like it should. So I think about a year into it. Now, if you drink every single day and you drink heavy, I don't know that this would even work for you of restoring all these brain cells, but I would imagine it's going to at least be a little better. But just to be a moderate drinker, like I was, it wasn't moderate at the end, but those brain cells are still able to be restored and functioning. And so now I am almost 19 months in, 20 months in, somewhere around there. It just seems to get sharper and sharper and sharper. And then I'm still losing the weight because my body has nothing else to do. My work crew has plenty to do repairing damage that could have been done. But I have had MRIs, CAT scans, all that. There's nothing wrong in there. Amazingly, out of all the years I've tortured my body with cigarette smoking, another thing that your body has to work double hard at if you're still smoking, drinking, it's busy with those things too. I don't know what marijuana or any of that. I imagine none of that put into your body that's not intended to go into your body, drugs, is going to be beneficial on the carnivore lifestyle. You might as well, if you're not going to quit those things, drinking, doing drugs, smoking cigarettes, don't worry about it. Forget about it. Just don't do it, because you're going to be fighting so hard to lose a pound. So you have to not be a drinker, okay? Not to mention you're putting carbs in especially if you're a beer drinker, you are putting so many carbs in your body by drinking beer and sugar, because there's sugar in all of that. It produces sugar it doesn't necessarily need sugar as an ingredient, but there are certain things like fruit. As soon as you put it on your mouth, it turns into sugar. Your body starts processing it into sugar. Like an apple. Those things get turned into sugar, and which turn into carbs. So your body your work crew can't fight the fat. The whole idea of carnivore is to consume fat and give your body fat, and that's what you burn. That is what your body is naturally intended to do, is burn fat. But you see a rise in obesity today because of the processed foods, the availability of fast food. Look at the chip aisle. Look at the cereal aisle in your stores. All these sweet processed foods that weren't available 30, 40, 50 years ago. I remember the cereal aisle as a kid. It might have been a quarter of an aisle. Okay, you had your major, your Frosted Flakes and Raisin Brands, but you didn't have 5 different flavors of one kind of cereal like they do now. And every one of them have sugar. And the soft drinks, that has exploded. And they have made changes to things you might have ate as a kid. They have put different ingredients in to save money, to make it taste better. All of these things either contain oils, sugars, or things that are just bad for you, dyes. So that's why you've seen an increase in obesity, along with the world has become much more convenient. You used to have one car per family. If I wanted to go to my friend's house, we weren't firing up the car for that. We would walk, or we would ride our bikes. Parents transport their kids anywhere they want to go now, get them anything they want to eat. Now you got to think about your children with this. We're having a really pretty intense thunderstorm right now, so if you hear thunder, that's what it is. Oh, the rain we've gotten. You have to think about your kids and what you're putting in your kids' body, because you're giving them, they're developing habits, eating habits, that aren't going to be doing them a favor down the road. So I hope I explained, take care of your work crew down there. Don't be putting alcohol, because you're never going to succeed at weight loss or getting rid of inflammation or just feeling good or being healthy until you stop it. You just can't do it anymore. And if you're not willing to stop drinking, you're not gonna lose weight. You're just not. You do see these people, and if you've ever been on a good bender where it's lasted 2 or 3 days and you haven't ate, you're feeding enough alcohol to keep your busy, happy, keep your body to fool it like it's getting some food. But in the long run, that is even worse. So I hope I kind of explain this in layman's terms, because, layman's terms is all I know. I'm just trying to put a picture in your head as to what's going on in your body. Now, some of it may not all be true, and but that's essentially how it works. You're keeping this crew, you're working them to death, and after a time, I think I'm in that phase now where my work crew is pretty happy. They're ordering recliners and luxury items, and because they got time now, because they're only working on certain things, because I am not torturing them with alcohol, carbs, sugar. They're happy with me. Me and my crew are one now. I am the best boss they've ever had after being the worst boss they've ever had. I love them little dudes, man. I tell you, you got to take care of them, because there ain't no way to get them back up in there. Okay? They're in there when you're born. They grow with you. Them little dudes do. Thanks for watching. Happy trails.